Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live stream show. It's kicking off here. I hope you enjoy the little countdown timer I was playing with there. And I was also messing around with a new graphics feature that we might not even discuss on the main show today. We might save that for the post show. But let me know if you can hear me and see me just fine. It might be a little quiet. I'm adjusting on the fly here. Otherwise, you can keep me updated in the old comments and live chat, of course. Everything seems to be working as I expect it to be working. Oh, I forgot to turn on my colored light in the background, but you know what? I'll do that next time. Not to worry. Um, I think it's a little quiet, so I think I might just adjust it just a smidge, and then you can let me know uh, on your end if all is well. Test, test, test. All right. Anyway, I'll keep on going on and saying hello to everyone who's joining in from wherever you are joining in from. Um, I usually show this in the opening there, but I got completely distracted because I wasn't fully set up, so I was running around fixing things, and as you saw, maybe if you were watching there, getting my iPad and setting things up here. So audio is now great, excellent. I thought it was a little bit quiet before, but hopefully it's great now. So I'll just turn off that. And greetings from London. Greetings from sunny Helsingborg. Nice to have you here as well, Nicholas. Munich and Rochester, New York. I love to see the familiar faces here like Eric. Welcome, welcome. Hello from Belgium as well. Nigeria. Wow, cool. IT Never Gets Old says, I dig John's pre-show music. Thanks. I just picked a few random songs from Artlist is what I use to do all the music, or grab all the music from Artlist. So I just picked up random songs about 6-7 months ago, and I've kind of stuck with them since then. I explain. I don't plan to change that anytime soon, but I'm glad you like them. Maybe at some point, whenever I get sick of them, I will change them. I'll just list a few questions as I go through here, so don't feel like I'm missing anything along the way. Eric says, I'm Big Timer in action there too. Exactly. One of the things we'll talk about today is H2R Graphics version 2.7, where I've reworked the whole Big Timer functionality, and now you can do countdown to time of day, which is what I was showing off a little bit there in the lead up to the show. IT Never Gets Old does say here, though, that there's a severe lack of fish in this new studio. Apologies for that. I will definitely fix that. In fact, I have some fixes to that now, but let me just enjoy some water here. Well, it's a very small fix, but if you saw in my opening there, I have a couple of new bits and pieces here in the studio. Oh, this one's covering my face. Some new stickers, as well as some new coasters, something I'm just playing around with. I'm kind of collecting all of these assets for future. Maybe there'll be a in-person event someday and we can all meet there, or maybe actually what I really want to do is turn all of these into like stickers packs that I will sell at some point in one big batch. So I'm not selling anything today, but in one big go, I'll say, I got 50 packs available or something, and then include lots of these things. And one of the cool ones I got was this holographic sticker here. So you can see it there. That's the old, it's quite small, but that's the old countdown style timer that I used to use on the live stream. Do I have that running anywhere still? I guess not. It looked like that. And this sticker, as you can see here, is holographic. In fact, I just put one on my water bottle here. I really like them. They're quite cool. So my point being that there is a tiny little fish in there. If you can see, there's two little fish, one over there, one over there. Yeah, because why not, right? No good reason other than why not. Hello from lots more people, India and Germany and lots of other places. Ryland says, I see a sliver of something happening on your right side of the screen. Yeah, there is, if you mean here, like along this edge here, there is a little purple line, I believe, if that's what you mean. I haven't quite figured out how that's getting there and how to get rid of it just yet. It's on my to-do list of things to do, but there is 1 pixel or 2 pixel little purple line here. I'm not sure, but I think it's the HDMI cable, but I've tried a few different ones. No idea what's going on there, so who knows. The new paper background looks great. Thank you. I'm really happy with it. I got two different colors, this dark one and then a light gray one, and I really wanted to see which one I preferred and which one looked best. Um, at first, I did think that this one was a bit too dark, but I'm kind of growing. It's growing on me, and then I'll get the gray one at some point. It was out of stock. It's on its way. So um, so we'll see. Oh yeah, Rhiannon says move your left hand off the screen and it shows on the right. Yeah, so it's. Oh yeah, I see that. What you mean? Yeah. There it is. Um, oh, I wonder. Yeah, I'll figure that out. It must be something funky going on with either the ATEM or the camera. I'll take a look into that. I didn't notice that because I usually am going this way to see what it is. So I appreciate that. That will give me something to troubleshoot, um, and see what's going on. The picture transitions are nice. Was that H2R? Yes, we can get to that later. Nothing to announce today, but just some fun things to talk about. And yes, the seamless does look good. It looks better now since I don't have any color or light on it because it came in a roll up. It has lots of little curves in it. So when I do throw some light on it, you can't see that, which is a bit of a shame, but it looks good right now. Background is very good. Thanks. Here to record the NFT. Yeah, exactly. Here's a real life token instead. All right, cool. I got nicely caught up to all of the nice welcome messages. Thanks for tuning in. And I sound like I'm wrapping things up here, but it's only getting started. So, what did I want to talk about? I thought there was two main things to talk about today, all app related: H2R Gear and H2R Graphics version 2. And I think we can kick things off with H2R Gear since there's a couple of things to share in there, but not as many things as with H2R Graphics. So the main new things in H2R Gear, let me just make sure you're looking at my right screen, which you will be there. The main things to show in H2R Gear are the new team mode. So here you can see H2R Gear, and if you used it before, you'll know what it is. But if you haven't, then I can take a look in here. What you can do with it is diagram out your plans and your gear, etc., etc. If you haven't taken a look at that yet, then there's a link on the website to explore that more. But one of the big new features now is this new team mode. So you can sign up to be a team instead of being an individual. And what you get access to is a place where you can share plans between your team. The idea here being, of course, that you're working with other people on projects and you want to start a plan yourself, send it off to them, and they can add some stuff, and then it comes back to you and you can add some stuff. Now, right now, there's no real-time collaboration. That is much more complicated than I'm currently ready to embark on for this version. But you can see here that right now I have a place that you can share these plans. So for example, I can jump back into my main plans here. I am the admin of this team and I can grab one of these plans and then send that over to my team, share it with them, and that fires over to my team plans area. And in fact, I think I'm logged in somewhere else. Yeah, okay, so here I am in another browser, logged in to another account, and I am part of that same team. In fact, let me see, if I go back into my team settings here, you'll see there's two people in the team, me as an admin, and then Sean Parker, my alter ego, is logged in as well. And this is Sean here. And Sean can see all of those plans as well. So I can see the H2R HQ office layout. I can edit that plan, and you can see here Jonas was playing with these plans earlier because I let him join my team. But I can make changes to these plans, and then I can tell my teammates that I've got everything done, and back over on their side they can pick up the plans and carry on from there. So that's sort of one of the bigger features of Gear just announced. I'm really super excited about this. Something I wanted to do for the longest time. I have lots more plans, of course, to incorporate into that as well, because shared gear is something I'm interested in. More collaboration options is something else I'm interested in. But for now, many of the people I've talked to who want these gear sharing plans is really just about the plans. They want to be able to start a plan on their end and then send it off to a team member who can finish it on their end. So that was really the idea behind like this current version of it. And from there, I can grow and add more features as time comes on. And speaking of new features, one of the other new features in this version of H2R Gear that was released today is zones. So this is a paid feature if you're on any of the paid plans, and you will see it in action here, right here in this little plan that I made previously. So I have these new zone sections here, and I can use colors to differentiate between my two zones. So for example, I might say that here's my main room in the studio here, and I have all of this equipment in this main room, and then in the secondary room behind me I have all of this equipment, and I can color that differently. And you can use this as you wish for different rooms, different types of gear, different things. I'm sure you'll have good reasons and good use cases for it, but you can add these zones, position them wherever you want, give them the colors based on what colors I have made available to you, and then use the zones, and they work just like that. Oh, and while we're in here, one of the other fixes for this release, but a pretty big one I think, is in this export plan setting here. Previously, whenever you exported a PNG of your plan, annoyingly, it wouldn't show the little arrows, but now that's fixed. That was just a small little tweak I needed to make, and for once it was a pleasure to develop instead of a pain to find the actual solution. Just a few little tweaks on my end got this to work. So now you can see the arrows in there, and they all look exactly how you would expect them to. Makes it nice and clear, and you can drag this into wherever you want, for example. And of course you can see here that you could just move this PNG with all the zones into Photoshop or into a PowerPoint presentation or whatever. So that's a look at that. I see a question pop in about this, so I'll just take that as we go along here. Can you pin the items to the background for the zone? Not quite. No, in fact, no, you can't. That would be something I definitely want to add in the future. So grouping is one of the things that I'm quite keen on working out, but it's it's a bit more complicated than that. So what I'd like to be able to do is grab this sort of group, or select a few things and then grab them all and move them all together. That is one of the plans, definitely, but it's just not quite there just yet. Excuse me as I enjoy some water off camera here. So that's the main gear updates. That only took 5 minutes to get through. If you have any questions about H2R Gear in general, then fire them in the comments as we go along. Otherwise, we can head into H2R Graphics, because I know plenty of people love to use that and are using that for all sorts of productions. And this update has been a long time coming, definitely. I realized today how long it's been since I pushed out a version. I've just been slowly working on this one in the background. So I will definitely answer any questions that pop in about gear later, or actually now would be a good time if one pops in, like one from Ike here. Is there a chance that there will be a buy once, cry once option for H2R Gear in the future instead of a subscription model? I have thought about other ways of subscribing or getting access to H2R Gear, definitely, but for a downloadable application like Graphics, it makes perfect sense to have a one-time purchase and then that's it. You're good. Hello, goodbye, enjoy it. But for something that's hosted online, it makes it very difficult to do that one-time purchase. I mean, you could just buy a 1-year subscription and only pay once a year. That might make it a little bit simpler for your accounting, but I suspect that it's more than that you're interested in. Some people have also asked for the ability to buy once whenever you export out a plan. Since this is a paid feature, this export, there could be a way to just pay for it once and then go, but it's just not as easy as putting that in there. There is a lot more involved in creating that button that says buy once and export. So if you want to talk some more about what you want from it that's not available in the free version, but that you want to pay for in certain ways, I'm more than happy to listen to what you have to say and chat about it, definitely. But unfortunately, sometimes it's just not as easy for something that's hosted online to have like a one-time purchase option. Whenever you download it, it's much easier for that model. Ryland here says, is there a way to get a gear log of everything created in H2R Gear? You'll have to tell me more what you want from that. If you mean a gear log, every item that you've ever created in there, or is that part of a plan? You'll have to let me know. Apologies, I'm not entirely sure. Oh wait, maybe this is what you mean. An easy way to keep track of serial numbers, etc. Definitely something I've thought about. Definitely a huge project though on my end, and definitely on your end as well, since you will have to log in all of those serial numbers. So I know lots of people already do that with other tools, so it's definitely something that's been on my get to eventually list, but it hasn't quite risen to the top just yet. I can imagine that being really useful for teams though, and keeping track of inventory and things like that. So good to hear your thoughts on it. All right, we'll come back to gear questions. I'll list them and come back to them a little bit later, since I want to head into H2R Graphics now. Let me just clean up my screens a little bit here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. All right. Okay, so I'm just over on the download page for H2R Graphics because I just wanted to sort of tick through some of these big changes in this version. It's probably the biggest release yet, I would say, except for like the first version of version 2. The timers have been completely reworked from scratch to be better, and it's something I'm working on more and more. Celebration graphics are now a part of it, up to more scores, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go through all of these right now. We'll just dig into them instead. That would probably make much more sense, just to dig in. Let me just launch graphics. I should have had it running, shouldn't I have? That would have been much more prepared of me. Yeah, I have 2.7 running here on this computer. You know, I'm always jumping between versions on my computers. That's why I'm double checking to see what version's running where and what I'm up to. Yes, so what's new? Yeah, Celebrations graphic is one that a lot of people have asked for. In fact, over on the Discord, people are very interested in just having this, celebrations. Here's an example of one. So this is like whenever someone gives you a super chat on YouTube or something like that, I usually have the option to have a celebration like this. But what I figured was some people, or what people ask for, was that some people just want to get that celebration so they can just fire it whenever they want to. So now it's a pro graphic that you can use on any of your rundowns as you wish. The next update, we'll talk about timers. I think that'll be the main thing to chat about. So the timers, like I said, have been completely reworked. And in fact, if you take a look at this count up timer here, you'll see what I mean. So now you can set a start time, a total duration, and then from there, whenever you show a timer, you can see it's actually starting from that 45 minutes and counting up to get to 90 minutes total. Perfect for like a football game or some sporting event that starts after a second half. I think that's what this will be really useful for. In addition to that, you can also pause timers, which is quite nice. So it gives this sort of pulsing effect here. I think you can probably just about see that on your end. It gives that pulsing effect. In fact, you know what I could do? I could make it even bigger. Wouldn't that be good of me? So you can see here, it's just sort of in a holding pattern, pausing until you're done with it, or you resume it, and then it'll just keep counting from wherever you left off. Super useful for sporting events for sure. The next thing I wanted to show was the big timer now has all the same options as the other timer. So you can do a countdown to a time of day, and you can see here it's red because this time of day has passed. But if I do 1940, which is still in my future, I can do a countdown to the time of day. But one other thing I added in this version, which you saw on the start of the show here, is now in the theme section I can do some more funky things like animate every second. So you'll see now whenever I go back over to my rundown and show it, this is the new effect that's shown whenever I do that. So it's counting down to time of day. And question coming in from Christian saying there's no pause on the big timer though. Let's just take a look back over here again. That's probably, yeah, that's because if I was to hide that timer, you'll see that to time of day can't actually be paused, since you can't pause when the time of day happens. So I've left that not pausable. But if I do this 10-minute countdown here, it does pause that. And the ring keeps going just to kind of show. I thought it would be strange if you didn't have the circle animate like that, since it would be stuck in some weird pattern. So it just continues to animate, but then you can turn it on and it keeps counting down. So there is a play pause for the big timer as well. It's just that I didn't show it on the to time of day because you can't change that. That's the way it's going to be. You can try though. Let's see, anything that came in. Yeah, some gear questions. We can come back to those a little bit later. Ray says, what are the dimensions of the template for lower third I'll be using Photoshop? Dimensions for templates, I tend to stick with 16:9 1080p. So 1920 by 1080 is what I stick to for everything. Or you could do a 4K version if you wanted to, but stick with that. That way you can place your lower thirds exactly on screen where you want to place them. That's, for me, that would be the best way to go, because otherwise you start putting things in different places and it can get quite confusing pretty fast. So stick with 16:9, definitely. Yeah, I think I got that question sorted, and no pause though. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, what else? I closed down my what's new thing here, so I'm just going to bring that back up again. Yeah, so one of the other things I really wanted to show was the ability now in the social graphic. In fact, if I just create a new one, if you ever create a social graphic, you'll see that there is this test social graphic. Here the record says, this is a test. How does it look? It looks great, thanks. But what you can do now is you can edit all the content of that message as you see fit. So the use case here being that, well, maybe you don't like the test that I made for you, then that's perfectly fine. You can make it say whatever you want. I can't type today. My custom text. And that is by John Parker. Like I said, I can't type. So perfect if you're just wanting to try out a social graphic to your own use case. But where it gets even better is if I jump over to the variables list here, I actually have a couple of questions set up in my variables list here. Question is this, my question is that, from Sean Parker. Let me just get rid of that one. And you can always just change the title of this to be like the question. So now in here you could grab some questions from a totally different tool. I know you'll have to do a little bit of copy and pasting on your end, but at least you can get them into the graphics tool now. And then if I go back in again, and I'll just hide that, and I'll just show you this other graphic that I made earlier, which uses those custom variable strings. As always, you can grab those strings from over here if you're not sure what they are. That's what they look like. List 1.1 would be the first list and the first column. So if I show that, you can see here Sean Parker says my question is this, and I can always just head back over here again and update that social content. And then I thought, well, you would probably want to get some sort of image in there. So now you can use a custom image as well. I don't have any in here right now, but you can load up like a icon for YouTube, or like a chat message icon, or any sort of thing that you have available to you. You can load that up and use that in that little slot there. So now you have a way of showing your own custom messages within the social graphic. And if you pair that with the celebration graphic, you've got your own system for showing lots of different things. Neil says, any plans for a Linux and or Docker version of H2R Graphics? I haven't been against doing a Linux version, definitely not. I think the reason I didn't do one for a while is because I wasn't running any Linux computers, and I was a little bit worried about releasing a version that I couldn't possibly, or I could possibly, but I wouldn't feel comfortable testing. But since then, I've realized, of course, that I could just run a virtual Linux computer and test it out and find the issues along the way. I mean, the old version did run on Linux, and I never really got to test that much other than in the very early days. So I still intend to. I just have a few development related things to figure out before I properly push out a Linux version. But if you're super keen on a Linux version, then do just let me know more about it on email or on Discord and tell me more about why you want to use that. The Docker version, I'm definitely not familiar with. I'm aware of Docker, but I'm not familiar enough with creating versions for that. So reach out to me again on that one if you have something in particular that you think I really should make that Docker version for that reason. Lucas, nice to have you here. Hey, John, not a user but admirer. That's okay. Maybe someday you'll use it. Maybe you won't. But nice to have you here, and excellent work on your tool, stagetimer.io. I was just playing with the new version of it yesterday. If anyone's not used that before, check it out. Lucas is doing some great work with that project. I'll have to get you on the live show at some point to talk all about that. I would love to have you here. Ray, you demoed with the green screen, but I use the black background. What is the advantage of one over the other? I did make a video the other day about Luma keying graphics on the ATEM, which showed a few different ways of doing it via the black background version. But certainly the green screen version is a very classic one. And the reason I stick with the green screen version in all of my examples, like you can see here, is I think people really understand what this means. They get that I need to key out the green. A green screen is such a widely used term that the average person, many average people would know what green screening is. So if you show this image here with a green background, you get the point. This should be keyed out, and then my graphics are what's left. Alternatively, though, if I was to show it with like the transparent background, which you see here, well, the way that this tool works is it's actually white in the background, which is kind of frustrating. It should really be transparent, and you could see through it and see the purple on my desktop there, but you can't. So in other tools, of course, you can, but not the way I have it opened here in this window. So what I tend to do then is leave it green and have it like that. In general, though, I do prefer a Luma keyed graphic. I think the main reason for that was because in the old Television Studio HD that I used to use, I still have it here somewhere. On that, I would use Luma keying instead of chroma keying, because the chroma keyer in that wasn't as good as it is now in the ATEM Mini. So you probably could get away with a lot of it these days doing it chroma key wise, but I prefer to stick with the Luma. I find that the edges end up much nicer, and the overall effect is a lot better in my eyes, and I'm used to using Luma, so I've kind of stuck with that. But I know many people use the chroma option for loads of stuff, and since the chroma keyer is so much better in the new ATEMs, then it makes perfect sense to do that. Is there a way to use, or Lee Freeze, I hope I said that okay for you. Is there a way to use my own celebration graphics / movie clips? Not currently. I only have a few loaded up in there. It's not actually movie clips in this case. It's actually animated CSS. That way I don't have to ship clips with the application. Something I have been thinking about a lot is where the line between graphics and video blurs. I've been kind of against putting actual video in H2R Graphics for a while now, but I think what I realize now is it's actually the audio that I'm not so interested in. The video part I don't mind as much, especially if it's just like a little stinger like I do at the start of my show, or in your case just a little celebration animation. That kind of stuff might be okay, but I haven't quite made up my mind on that yet, and I'm just more interested in that kind of movie. So a long answer to your short question was not currently. But if there's any sort of celebrations that you would like to see in there, I'm more than happy to add them if you throw the idea at me, preferably over email rather than in this comment right now, because when this comment goes past, then I won't remember that at the end of the show. Rylan says, is it possible to control showing the chat via an iPad? I can get the rundown to show, but not the chat. Yes, it is possible. Let me know where you're going wrong, because that's what I'm doing for this show here today. I have the chat messages like your one right here, showing via the iPad. It's possible that you haven't added it as a source in the launcher application, which is the one that pops up here. Oh, there we go. So you will have to add it as a data source there and make sure to hit connect. And once you do that, then you'll find it show up on your iPad on the social tab like this. And you press the chat message, like, where did yours go? There. And it'll show up just fine, hopefully. But if you're able to get the rundown to show up, then you're this close to getting the whole thing to work. So close. Lucas says, I can help you with Docker anytime. Excellent. I have some questions for another project, so I might ask you about that. Lintaga, nice to have you here. Good evening. How big is the new background? Any behind the scenes pick? I don't have any behind the scenes pick. The only thing I have is this other camera here, which is really out of focus right now. It's like 2.5 meters, so it starts over here and goes all the way over there. And I think it's about 2.5 meters. And then it's a huge roll of, I don't know, 10 meters maybe. I'm not entirely sure. And it's just off camera here. It's just rolled up right above where you can see. So that's the best I have for you. I can share a picture on Discord though, definitely. Oh, I just jumped ahead there. What bitrate are you streaming? The quality is going out of focus. YouTube in South Africa is buffering quite a bit, although my download speed is 1,000 megabytes. I'm streaming at between 9 and 9.5. It is on low latency, I think, so maybe I'm just pushing it. Is it on? Yeah, it's on ultra low latency, so maybe YouTube just needs to buffer a little bit before it can get that data to you. So try just pausing and waiting just a little bit, I think. IT never gets old. Let me know if anybody else is having problems as well, by the way. I'm happy to, not for this show, but I'm happy to pull back away from ultra low latency in the future if that makes it a better experience for people in general. Okay. Sorry, that went away a bit too fast for me there. IT never gets old. Any thoughts about allowing users to add custom CSS animations? Yes, maybe. You can already technically do that, but the current editor is maybe not quite built for making that easy for you. So you could do keyframes and animations already in the CSS themes section. But like I said, it might not be the best experience just yet. Yeah, some other people are reporting some issues, but yeah, I don't know if it's the ultra low. I'll pull back on that next week or next time, and we'll see how it goes. When I do jump back and forth between screens and me, it is showing a little bit of warnings on YouTube, so maybe that's why. But as long as you can hear me just fine and it's good enough, then I'm happy enough. Joel S says, is it possible to have a brand logo as an end marker on the H2R ticker? Ooh, that's a good one. I'd have to think about that. The ticker is a tough one. All of those items, scrolling on screen, making changes, and getting an image at the end. Maybe if you mean the credits at the end of a show, then that would be a different story. Which reminds me, I don't have my credits ready for today's show. Nice. Yeah, so maybe if you mean that, then it would be different. But for the purposes of this, I think for the credits it would definitely work. Just probably not for the ticker though. I don't think that would work quite as well. And Christoph says, I like to use the limit keyer on the downstream keyer as it is the upmost layer. That's a good point. That's another reason why I use the downstream keyer limit keying, is because this graphics right now is at the very top of my entire show. And so no matter what I cut between, the graphics will always be on there. So that's probably another good reason why I did that as well. Ryland, yes, I can get social connected and working on MacBook, but when I click social, it just goes to a white page, maybe too old for the iPad OS. Thanks. possibly you can reach out over email to me, and we can tinker a bit more with that and see where the issue's going. It may be a tiny fix that I can do on my end, or it might be an issue with one thing I would say is give it a go in Chrome on the iPad if you can, and if that fixes it, let me know either way. Nicholas says the picture quality is going up and down, yes, but no buffering on the East Coast. Okay, well, intermittent issues is exactly what you want whenever you're live streaming. I'll just stash those for later. And artifacting in a few other places, but no delays. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Bobby says, hi from Nigeria. Hello, welcome. Could you add more lower thirds presets to H2R Graphics? I can. If you mean the animated ones, then I can definitely do that. If you mean the standard ones, then you know the whole idea of that is just to jump into the theme editor and edit them as you see fit. So I recommend doing that, definitely. But if you mean the lower third animated ones, then certainly there's more things for the future to be added in that section, for sure. Not for the credits, but as a ticker item. Oh, Joel, that was the wrong answer. I was hoping you would say the other one. Yes, I'll think about it. I'll definitely think about it. I'm not entirely sure of the best approach for that one. Yeah, I'll have a think about that one for sure. I'm just kind of making a little quick end graphics here because so this is the fun part about creating the application yourself that you use on a weekly basis, is that whenever you're testing stuff out, you're always messing around, moving things around, and what you end up doing is like taking projects that you use on a weekly basis for your live show, and then just someday for no good reason you just go in there and you start tearing them apart, and then you realize later that you tore them apart. But actually, on that note, I have something for the post show, a really fun upcoming feature sneak peek that we'll take a look at. But we'll do that in the post show. I think that'd be the best place for it. Let me see if I have all my stuff up. Yes, I do. Yeah, let's head into the post show with some more questions. If you're watching here live, don't go anywhere. I'm just gonna take a quick recording break, have some water, play some music for a few seconds, and roll the credits. Otherwise, stick around. If you're watching on demand, then the post show is for members of the channel only. And big thanks to all the people who are members. Many of them have been watching along today and chatting in the chat. Oh, I'm thirsty today. But a special thanks to the supreme supporters of the channel. Jeremy, it's nice to have you as a supreme supporter, and Marlon and Patrick and Jim as well, Cloud Bedrock, many of whom have been supporting the projects from the very start. So a big thanks to them. All right, so I'll take some water and I will enjoy some music, play some credits, and I'll see you in a few seconds. Let's see if I can play these credits here. Hold on.